coming up on Retiring Well with Michael Reese.
The reality is this, they might charge the same 1%, but boy, do they deliver different value. And when you're retired, if you're nearing retirement, you're going to need help in all of these areas. Make sure you pick the right advisor. As a result, even though he saved some money in the early stages of retirement, Robert would have ended up paying so much money later on, he would have been hammered.
That's a big thing and a financial advisor has to be concerned about, needs to be laid out and very detailed about, because obviously you may have to provide income for yourself for 20 to 30 years in retirement.
Retiring Well with Michael Reese, helping you make smart decisions with your money so you can live a better life. Today is the day you can take back control of your money. Retiring Well with Michael Reese, where we believe your best is yet to come.
Welcome to Retiring Well. I'm your host, Michael Reese. We've got a wonderful show lined up for you this week. We are talking about the difference between financial advisors. Now, why am I talking about that? Because I understand what financial advisors look like from your side of the table. So I understand that from your perspective, advisors, we all kind of look the same. I mean, how do you know who's really different? I mean, you've got Joe Smith over at some big brokerage house. You got Mary Jane over here at this, maybe she's an independent. And then you've got another person over there, another one over there. It seems like financial advisors are everywhere. How do you know which advisor is right for you? How do you really know? I mean, and are they really different, or are they basically all the same? Well, the good news is that it only takes a few questions on your side of the table to really identify the difference between advisors and who's right for you. So let's go ahead and dive in. The very first type of advisor, there's really two types. The first one is what we would call the general practice advisor, kind of like your family doctor, if you will. This type of advisor is someone that essentially helps you with investment management. That's about it. They don't really do anything else. Their job is to help you put together your portfolio and create some kind of asset allocation and just set up your portfolio to make money for you. Typically, these are growth and accumulation types of advisors. That's typically what they focus on. Balanced portfolios and asset allocation. This is what they talk about. And this is what you're going to find in pretty much every big brokerage house out there. You know, the big names, the Merrill Lynch's and Raymond James, all those big places, that's essentially what they do. Edward Jones is another one. Now, the second type of advisor is what you would call a specialist. Now, there are a number of specialists, but if you're watching the show, typically you're going to be most interested in what's called a retirement specialist. Now, if you visit with a retirement specialist, sure, they're going to help you with your investing, but they're going to help you in a lot of other areas. In fact, in our firm, where we specialize in retirement planning, there are 5 areas that you have to address. You know, of course, you need your investment planning, but what about your retirement income plan? How are you structured to pull income from your portfolio so that it's stable and so it's going to last? What about your tax planning? I'm going to give you a terrific example a little bit later in the show about how tax planning, or ignoring tax planning, costs somebody a lot of money. You want to make sure you're on top of that. Healthcare planning. So we've got investment, income, tax. Healthcare planning is number 4. You know, that might be once you're 65, you've got Medicare that you're picking up. How do you make the most out of that? What about things like long-term care that might come up from time to time? That's healthcare planning. And then, of course, the 5th area is estate planning. Do you have wills? Do you have trusts, powers of attorney? Do you have the right tools for the right jobs there? In other words, a retirement specialist is going to help you in a lot more areas than just how's your investments going, right? So the easy question you simply ask is, when you visit with a financial advisor, hey, tell me what you do. Tell me what you do. If all they do is talk about what they do within investments, you got yourself a general advisor, just, you know, your family doctor. On the other hand, if they sit back and they say, well, We help you generate a retirement income plan. We help you optimize your Social Security benefits with your income. We help you with tax planning. We help you with estate planning. We'll help you with healthcare planning. If they're hitting on all those other topics, well, then you got yourself a retirement specialist. As you enter into retirement, if you're within 5 years of retirement and as you enter into retirement, both, you're going to want to make sure you're working with a specialist. You want to make sure that you're working with a team who can help you in the multiple areas of planning that you need when it comes to your retirement. So I don't want you going anywhere, because coming up later on the show, as I said, I'm going to give you a great tax story. We're going to have a great chalk talk. You're really going to enjoy this. So sit right back. We'll see you in a minute. Hi, I'm sitting here with Larry Flynn. Thanks for being here, Larry.
Thank you, Mike.
He's one of the advisors at Centennial Wealth Advisory. And folks, as you may know by now, we certainly invite you to come visit with us. It's absolutely free to get a second opinion on your retirement planning. And I think it's important to get a second opinion from someone who's a specialist when it comes to retirement planning. And Larry, I'm sure they're wondering, if they pick up the phone and they call and come visit with you, what can they expect? What's that experience like?
Well, Mike, they can expect not to get hard sold, okay? We're going to greet them warmly. We're going to sit down and talk to them a little bit about maybe their story, where they're from, where they grew up, how they met their spouse, what they're dreaming of doing once they get soon to be retired or retired.
Kind of what are their goals, right?
Yeah, what are your goals? We're going to talk to them a little bit about who we are, what we do, show them how we do things, especially dealing in the market realities we find ourselves in today.
Got it. So essentially, they're coming in, you're learning a little bit about what's important to them, what their goals are, what they're trying to accomplish. I'm sure you're taking a look at what they're doing so far. You maybe share a little bit about you, and it's just in a very relaxed atmosphere.
That's right.
And there's no cost to do this. Is that correct?
No cost. No cost.
All right. So, folks, there you go. I mean, it sounds very simple, very easy, very laid back. There's no reason for you not to just pick up the phone, call the number on the screen, come visit us, get that second opinion. You'd be glad that you did.
Are you ready to face today's retirement challenges? Are you prepared for potential market corrections and economic downturns? Are you implementing viable tax strategies to reduce your liability and protect your assets? Are you able to make informed decisions to safeguard your retirement savings and income? Centennial Wealth Advisory presents Mastering Today's Retirement Challenges. We are Northern Michigan's financial advisors, specializing in retirement planning with offices in Traverse City, Petoskey, and Gaylord, and we invite you to an informative presentation with a complimentary gourmet dinner. Learn how to use the new tax reform to your advantage, the best way to generate lifetime income, how to identify and manage financial challenges, how to maintain growth opportunities and reduce risk, and much more. Call 888-608-5825 to register and choose the date and location that works best for you. Thursday, July 19th at the Otsego Club and Resort in Gaylord. Tuesday, July 24th at Stafford's Bayview Inn in Petoskey, or Tuesday, July 31st at the Park Place Hotel in Traverse City. Presentations start at 6 p.m. and are free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow, but seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important presentation, Mastering Today's Retirement Challenges. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Welcome to this week's Chalk Talk. We are talking this week about the difference between, say, a general advisor, a general advice financial advisor, and someone who is a retirement specialist. And what we're going to talk about now is how these folks are compensated. So let's imagine, it's pretty common that your financial advisor, general practice financial advisor, they're going to charge you probably about 1% per year of your portfolio for their investment advice. That's pretty standard, pretty typical. Now you might find one, they might charge a little more, another might charge a little less, but that's pretty standard in the industry. Well, What about a retirement advisor, someone who specializes in retirement? What are they going to charge you for investment advice? Probably somewhere around the same 1%. So what the heck's the difference here? They're charging the same number and they're delivering the same value. What's going on? Well, what's going on here is that one of these guys or gals ends up delivering a lot more value than just investment advice. That's the difference. So here's what I mean. When you talk to your typical advisor, general practitioner, they're charging out 1% a year for their investment advice. They're done. That's it. Nothing more. That's all you get. But if you talk to a retirement specialist, you get a lot more. I'm going to start making a list. For example, a retirement advisor is going to help you with your income planning. And when I say income planning, that's going to include things like Social Security optimization. It's going to include how do you structure your portfolio to get stable and predictable income. Where's the best place to take income? This guy over here, he's typically saying, oh, I'll kind of pull it from, make my choices, kind of when each year we'll make an identification of where to pull the money. No, we got a plan here. It's a written retirement income plan. And during your retirement, that's going to be important. What else? Here is a big one. Tax planning. A retirement specialist is going to help you with your tax planning. Part of that has to do with income. Hey, which account? Do you want to pull income from your IRA or should we pull it from your after-tax account? We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. But it's not just that. What about Roth conversions? Are you doing Roth conversions every year? Should you be? Should you at least be looking at doing Roth conversions every year? What about your ongoing tax liability? Is that being looked at? Is your portfolio being managed in such a way to keep your taxes to a minimum? These are all related to tax planning. What about the big HC? What does that stand for? Healthcare. Healthcare planning. When you hit 65, you're going to be on Medicare. What's the best way to manage your health insurance when you're on Medicare? Is this guy going to help you? No. What about this one? Yeah, they're going to help you. It's important. What about long-term care protection? That could be a big deal. Long-term care could be a big deal. How much help you getting over here? None. What's going on over here? They're going to help you identify how much protection do you desire? How do you pay for it? What's the best way to pay for it? What's the best type of program to have? They're going to help you look at it. They're going to help you evaluate it. And then the last part, EST, estate planning. There's probably room. Let's get that on here. Yeah, estate planning. Estate planning, your wills, trusts, beneficiary arrangements. How much help are you going to get from this person versus how much help do you get over here? The reality is this, they might charge the same 1%, but boy, do they deliver different value. And when you're retired, if you're nearing retirement, you're going to need help in all of these areas. Make sure you pick the right advisor.
Are you ready to face today's retirement challenges? Are you prepared for potential market corrections and economic downturns? Are you implementing viable tax strategies to reduce your liability and protect your assets? Are you able to make informed decisions to safeguard your retirement savings and income? Centennial Wealth Advisory presents Mastering Today's Retirement Challenges. We are Northern Michigan's financial advisors specializing in retirement planning with offices in Traverse City, Petoskey, and Gaylord, and we invite you to an informative presentation with a complimentary gourmet dinner. Learn how to use the new tax reform to your advantage, the best way to generate lifetime income, how to identify and manage financial challenges, how to maintain growth opportunities and reduce risk, and much more. Call 888-608-5825 to register and choose the date and location that works best for you. Thursday, July 19th at the Otsego Club and Resort in Gaylord. Tuesday, July 24th at Stafford's Bayview Inn in Petoskey, or Tuesday, July 31st at the Park Place Hotel in Traverse City. Presentations start at 6 p.m. and are free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important presentation, Mastering Today's Retirement Challenges. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Welcome back. So I promised you earlier in the show I'd give you a great story about how tax planning, or said another way, a lack of tax planning, ended up costing someone a lot of money. On the plus side of this story, the good news is we caught it, thankfully, before it was too late. But still, what was lost was lost. All right, here's what happened. We'll call him Robert, right? Robert came to us for a second opinion in his planning. Now, Robert had done a terrific job saving for his retirement. This guy had literally $2 million. He had $1 million of it in an IRA, and the other $1 million he had in after tax. I think what happened was he saved the $1 million in his IRA over his many years working. I think the other $1 million, as I recall, he might have inherited. Doesn't matter. Either way, he's sitting pretty with a couple $1 million. Now, by the way, before I go any further in the story, you don't need $2 million for the same benefits that we're about to talk about. This just happened to be his situation. You might have $200,000. These same rules may apply to you. So everybody's different when it comes to tax planning. And I mean everybody's different. But this is just a great example of how a general practitioner can versus a retirement specialist, how there's a huge chasm of difference between them. All right, so let's go back to Robert with his $2 million. So here's the deal. He retired at age 60 because he's over 59 and a half. And so his thought was that gave him access to all of his money. And then he decided, because he had enough money, he was going to take his Social Security. He's going to wait until he was age 70 because he figured, hey, he could use his other resources. He didn't have to get Social Security early. He could just let that Social Security benefit grow until it maxed out at age 70. And so far, so good. I love everything he's doing. This is fantastic, right? So far, so good. But then here's what happens. His general practitioner advisor tells him, Robert, why would you take money out of your IRA? That's taxable. Wait until you're 70 and a half and then pull it out when you're forced to. And when you're forced to pull it out, just pull out the minimum. By doing that and just taking income, all of your income from your after-tax money, if you do that, that money's already been taxed. So as you take income out of the after-tax money, it's going to be tax-free. For the next 10 years, Robert, you're going to be at a 0% tax bracket if you do that. You will owe no tax on your income for the next 10 years. And that's what he recommended. Now, first, was that general advisor correct? Would that income be essentially tax-free for the next 10 years? The answer is yes, it would be. The way it was structured. The way it was structured, the income he needed, indeed, it did work out that it would be tax-free for the next 10 years. And in fact, when Robert came to our office, he was 64 years old, so he was 4 years in his retirement. And he was literally, he paid no income tax for the first 4 years of his retirement because of the structure that they had set up. That's fantastic. Of course, here's the problem. The problem is, we said, okay, Robert, that's great. You're not paying taxes for this 10 years. What are you doing about your tax planning then starting at age 70? Because think about what was happening for him the minute he turns age 70. His IRA of $1 million had 10 years to grow, or would have had 10 years to grow. It'd probably be $2 million. That means his required minimum distribution would be about $80,000 and getting bigger every year. Plus, on top of that, his Social Security, which he's been delaying, between him and his spouse, would end up being about $50,000. Well, so he goes from no income tax to $130,000 of income, which would be taxed, getting bigger every year because his required distribution gets bigger every year. I said, what are you doing about that? And, oh, by the way, if you die, you're leaving your spouse a $2 million plus IRA. she's now a single taxpayer. What do you think the taxes are going to be on that? And oh, by the way, you've been paying no tax the last 4 years. You've been in a 0% tax bracket. I'm sure your advisor has told you you need to do some Roth conversions, get money from a taxable to tax-free at a real low tax rate. You're in a 0% tax bracket? Let's take advantage of that. Did his general advisor, investment advisor guy, did he recommend any Roth conversions while they're in a 0% tax bracket? No. So those were gone. In other words, this general advisor was saying, let's focus on the here and now and let's ignore the future. Big mistake. As a result, even though he saved some money in the early stages of retirement, Robert would have ended up paying so much money later on, he would have been hammered. Now, proper tax planning would have said, hey, Robert, how about this? What if we just pay a little bit more today? Not much, but some. Let's do some Roth conversions, for example, so your required minimum distributions when you're 70 are lower. And that way we can manage taxes today and tomorrow so that overall you end up in a lot better position. Since Robert came to us, he had the option, because we helped him, he was able to save tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of tax over his lifetime by balancing that tax planning versus trying to get all the benefit just today. Huge difference between advisors. That's why you want to talk to a retirement specialist.
Are you ready to face today's retirement challenges? Are you prepared for potential market corrections and economic downturns? Are you implementing viable tax strategies to reduce your liability and protect your assets? Are you able to make informed decisions to safeguard your retirement savings and income? Centennial Wealth Advisory presents Mastering Today's Retirement Challenges. We are Northern Michigan's financial advisors, specializing in retirement planning with offices in Traverse City, Petoskey, and Gaylord, and we invite you to an informative presentation with a complimentary gourmet dinner. Learn how to use the new tax reform to your advantage, the best way to generate lifetime income, how to identify and manage financial challenges, how to maintain growth opportunities and reduce risk, and much more. Call 888-608-5825 to register and choose the date and location that works best for you. Thursday, July 19th at the Otsego Club and Resort in Gaylord. Tuesday, July 24th at Stafford's Bayview Inn in Petoskey, or Tuesday, July 31st at the Park Place Hotel in Traverse City. Presentations start at 6 p.m. and are free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow, but seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important presentation, Mastering Today's Retirement Challenges. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Hi, you're here with John Torbett and Art Canfield here of Centennial Wealth Advisory, serving all of Northern Michigan. And we're talking about different types of advisors and what sort of roles they play when it comes to your financial planning. And so, Art, I'm going to turn it over to you to get us started on that.
Yeah, this is a really interesting topic because, you know, our specialty is mainly with folks leading up to retirement or getting near retirement and in retirement. And then there's this a group of advisors that serves the not in retirement phase.
Sure.
And the services that one should expect and one is needed is vastly different. You know, when you're 30s, let's say you're in a 401k or you're trying to save it, and you don't need as much outside planning. You know, you're more investment sort of picks in those decisions. But when you get to near retirement, in retirement, there's kind of this big shift that has to. It's a fundamental shift in your life. So therefore, really, it's a fundamental shift in your whole planning. And you know, and you can talk about, you've been here a long time, with how really important it becomes then just looking at investments, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and it's maybe the old mentality of, okay, I'm just going to buy this and hold it forevermore. You don't necessarily have the time involved where you can take on as much risk. So you think of back like 08, 2008, when markets dropped significantly, if you were just to sort of hold that mentality and that investment, okay, it maybe took you 5 years to get that back. And so in retirement, and especially when it gets to the stage where you're saying, okay, I might want to draw some income from this, I mean, that can devastate a plan. And so you need to avoid those major risks and make sure to more so gear towards consistency, I think is the ideal way to go.
Right. And you said the word income. You know, one of the big things that a financial advisor that is not helping you in retirement, they don't have to worry about an income plan.
Sure.
You know, that's something that's relatively non-existent. Your income plan is your paycheck, I mean, for all practical purposes. But in retirement, that's a big thing, and a financial advisor has to be concerned about, needs to be laid out and very detailed about, because obviously you may have to provide income for yourself for 20 to 30 years in retirement.
And the thing on top of that then that you think of is, okay, if you're going to be generating income from this, typically a majority of assets are in 401ks or IRAs that haven't been taxed yet, so it's a matter of understanding, okay, what are the tax implications of that income that I want to draw from the portfolio, and what does that look now with Social Security, or if you're fortunate enough to have a pension, you know, how that all plays together.
Right. And if you don't have a financial advisor that's not looking at all that, you know, the cost to you isn't just what you're paying the financial advisor, but if they're not helping you through all those things and there's a hiccup along the way, the cost can be it's huge. Yeah. So you really have to be evaluating what that financial advisor is providing for you and all those steps. You know, we can go on and on and on when you get into healthcare planning, long-term care planning, estate planning, legacy planning, you know, the list goes on and on when a true retirement advisor swoops in and helps with all those things.
Right. I mean, we've used the example before, but you think of sort of that second opinion and you go to, you know, a doctor, and your general physician is meant to do that, but if you're needing brain surgery, you're not going to use your general physician for that. Or if you're going to an attorney and you want an estate plan, you want to find one that's focused on estate planning, not one where maybe they did that, you know, 20 years ago, they were forced to create a plan, but you want to make sure that that's their area of expertise ultimately.
Right, right. And two, you know, going back to kind of that surgeon sort of mentality, and when you're very specialized, you know, there's things that retirement financial advisor is going to have to get in and tweak and do little pieces. You know, something that comes up, you know, if you have after-tax accounts like tax harvesting, you know, sometimes that you know, there was a study done, I guess, a little while ago that they said, what was the biggest cost a retiree has? Well, it was taxes, right? I mean, that if a good financial planner, tax planner, all that, can save you just 1% or 2% in taxes, that's huge over the course of your life.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's where, I mean, ultimately where you're maybe paying taxes, tax harvesting, you're paying tax on money that you shouldn't necessarily be paying taxes. It's not income that you need at this point in time, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a very interesting topic, and we could go on and on about this, but really the question is for you. What are you paying your financial advisor, and what services are you getting in return for that? And do you feel like they're bettering your situation? Are you better now than you were before you started that? If you would like a second opinion, we'd love to sit down and be able to talk to you about this, explain all the services that we provide and how we may be able to help you have a very successful retirement. Thanks for joining us.